Welcome to Fantasy Football Hub for the next episode in the My Team series. Today I'm joined by FPL Salah, who this season is going to be going for his 5th top 1k finish. If he gets it, he'll be only the 7th manager in history to do it. Is that right, Abdul? You'll be joining an absolutely esteemed list. 4 top 1k finishes, going for your 5th this year. Pretty insane stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure the exact number, but it is quite low. It's about, I think, single digits anyway. So it's quite an esteemed club.
Wow.
So yeah, it would be cool to get that. I mean, obviously the chances are, against me. The amount of players we're going to have and the amount of information out there. But I'm going to go for it anyway.
Absolutely, has to be done.
Yeah.
Of course, getting harder each year. But in this video, Abdul is going to be revealing his final team. Recording this a couple of days out from the deadline. But as it stands, Abdul, you were telling me just off camera, this has been your team. You've been pretty set on this for a good few days now. How likely do you think this is going to be to your final team that's up until right before the deadline?
Yeah, it's been my same team since like 4 or 5 days since my last team reveal. I've only changed one bench player.
So there we go.
Which was a 4.5 million defender, and I'll explain that in the video and why. But yeah, I can't see much of this team changing. Unless it's kind of major injury news and stuff. I think this will be the final team or very close to it anyway once it comes to the game week 1 deadline.
Well, that is good to hear. So as always, we're going to be building this on Fantasy Football Hub's My Team tool. If you would like to do the same and get your team rated, it is completely free to do so. You don't even necessarily need to sign up. Link to do so is down below. Okay, Abdul, let's get going. Who is in goal?
All right, so main goalkeeper is Onana. Yeah, he's obviously signed for United. He was 5 million. My initial draft had like Flecken and I had Luke Shaw, but I think with 5 million, you're saving 0.5 on Luke Shaw. United defence is decent. They kept the most clean sheets last season, although they did overperform a bit. But I do think Onana will be good. He is apparently good for distribution and passing, which has been picked up in pre-season, which is good for bonus points when United keep a clean sheet. So yeah, he just seems like a good option, for the first I guess. When you're looking at goalkeepers, Jack, you need to look at until your first wild card, or which is like game week 19 when it runs out. And I think United have got decent fixtures all the way until then.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he's in a lot of people's teams for good reason. The backup keeper has become kind of a contentious one over the past few days.
Yeah,
because of the Matt Turner news. So who have you got there?
I've still got Areola, and that is because I know Matt Turner is signing, but Nottingham Forest are still going for not Jordan Henderson, Dean Henderson.
Yeah.
So I think they're from what I've seen, they're really keen on signing him. So yeah, so I think they will end up with Henderson, and he'll be the first choice keeper. So I'm still with Areola at the moment, but yeah, I mean they've not signed him yet. So if they don't sign him, then obviously Turner becomes a better option because we know he'll be number 1. With Areola, it's still a bit unsure. I don't think we've had any sort of kind of definitive news. He has started a few games pre-season, and then Fabianski started a few, so still a bit up in the air. But still, Areola at the moment could change.
I just know that Turner will sign on Friday evening, and then he'll be put into the game at just after deadline, just to annoy us all when he's the best option.
That's a good point because he's not actually been transferred yet.
No.
So yeah, that's gonna be a close
and we can't even start with him because of the triple Arsenal.
Yeah, because of Arsenal, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna happen, but hey, we just got to deal with it. Okay, let's move on to the defense.
So Gabriel is my first defender. I just think he's Jack. I mean, he's been in my first draft. He's not left. He's one of the players that's not left my draft since the first one. He's 5 million. Arsenal got great fixtures. He's got a fantastic goal threat. He's got the highest XG last season amongst defenders. He scored 10 goals in the last 3 seasons. I know my first team reveal video, I predicted him to score 5 goals. I was probably being a bit, over optimistic, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 5. I'll change that estimate to about 3. I do think he'll hit at least 3 goals this season, looking at his underlying numbers. And yeah, I mean, he's just so underpriced at 5 mil. So yeah, he's in my team.
Yeah, I mean, 3 goals last year. XG of 3.4. Could have been more. People were getting on to you in the comments saying, what, really? 5 goals for Gabriel?
Yeah.
I don't think it's that outlandish. It's aggressive as a prediction, but I don't think it's crazy. Yeah. Who's next?
So second pick is Estepinian. So yeah, just an attacking option, Jack, and he's got really good fixtures. First 3 are amazing. I've got Botman there at 4.5 million, who covers Estepinian well for his difficult fixtures. So in game week 5, Newcastle play Brentford at home. Game week 7, they play Burnley at home. game week 8 at West Ham, and game week 9 Crystal Palace at home. So those are the game weeks in which Brighton's fixtures are, quite difficult, and he covers them quite well. So yeah, I'm happy with Stupinian. I'm happy with Botman as my 4.5 million defender.
So that to me is a really quite a cool pick, because he was a player, Botman, that was in a lot of people's teams as soon as the game came out. And everyone was like, Botman, 4.5 million defender for Newcastle, one of the best defences last season. That's underpriced. But with the fixtures, he's now in very few teams. If we look at overall percentages, 20%. But I don't think people that are, FPL experts necessarily are picking him on this series. I haven't seen him in loads of drafts. But I think maybe that's testament to why you've had so many good finishes. You're planning for so many weeks in advance, game week 8, game week 9 already now. Yeah. Because you just know that a player like him is going to be necessary. The one question I have is, because Estupinian is so attacking, will you definitely rotate him with Botman even in those harder fixtures?
Yeah, I mean, see for example, if you look at Brighton's fixture in game week 5, so they're playing Newcastle at home in game week 4. That could be a fixture in which you might want to rotate him, but that's I'm totally happy playing him in that fixture. But then they've got Man United away in game week 5, so that's the kind of fixture we'll have to say, I think I need to look for an alternative. So I've got Botman there that who's got Brentford at home, who'll have a much higher chance of a clean sheet. So yeah, I mean, when it comes to attacking defenders, you do generally play them in the tougher games. When you've got something like City away, Liverpool away, United away, I think he is not at the level yet of Trent, Chilwell, in which you can play him every fixture. He has got attacking threat, but he's not at that level yet, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so that is 3 of the defenders done.
Mm-hmm.
I presume that you've got another starting defender then.
Yeah. So Botman is my first substitute. So I've got Chilwell there as my third starting defender. Yeah, I just think Chelsea's fixtures are amazing up until game week 9 at least. And you look at how they've been playing pre-season. You look at how Chilwell's been really attacking. And I think this pre-season, because of the summer series, I think the teams have been taken a bit more seriously. You've seen a lot stronger lineups, and I think it's given a better indication of how these teams are going to set up. Going into the game week 1, and Chilwell's even spoken about himself. The man is saying that the manager wants him to get forward. He loves getting forward, and he is getting forward. If you see, if you're watching the games and looking at his kind of heat maps. So yeah, I just think he's again one of those kind of glue picks. I'll just stick him in there. Even Liverpool at home, game week 1, not too bothered. It's a tough fixture, but he's got immense attacking threat. So yeah, just hoping he doesn't get injured this season.
Me too. I think it's bound to happen at some point, but for this run of games, it's phenomenal. I know that people are a bit scared by the Liverpool at home fixture. For me, I would just say try and visualize that game as being in game week 3 instead. You're getting him in for so many games, and I think he's going to be pretty much nailed in your team for the first 8-9 game weeks.
Yeah.
If that Liverpool game was in game week 3, and say they had Luton at home first game, he'd be in everyone's teams without a question. So if you can kind of visualize it like that, because he's a player that's just going to be in your team and you're not going to want to touch him, I think that's an easier way of justifying putting him in. Yeah, in my team for sure. I think he's a great player and also a great lad. Okay, that is the defense. Round us off with a 4 million defender. I'm presuming you have a 4 million defender in there.
Yeah, so I've actually gone for Baldock. I think in my first draft I had Bayer, but the reason I'm going for Baldock is because he is the most attacking out of the 4 million defenders when you look at the attacking stats, which isn't obviously the most important metric you should use when looking at a 4 million defender. But most important one is Jayden Bogle, whose his competition is actually out injured, and apparently he's going to get surgery. So he's going to be nailed, for the foreseeable future, because that was the guy he had as his competition. And I do think, I mean, it's not. I don't think there's not much in it between Bayer, Bell, Kabore, and Baldock. But I just think Sheffield United have got slightly better fixtures in the opening games. And just in case I need him, just in case Botman gets injured and I get an injury to Chilwell, he has got better opening fixtures in case he's needed. So I'm going for Baldock at the moment, mainly due to the Bogle injury.
It's one that I always ask the FPL experts that I have on here, because if anyone is going to do the research and know about that 4 million slot, it's going to be these FPL experts. Yeah. And I think it can come across as a little bit pedantic when I keep asking about this 4 million player, but we've seen it across the seasons.
Yeah,
you have a 15-man squad for a reason. Who knows? Come game week 7, you got a couple of defensive injuries, but you really want to make that attacking transfer somewhere else in your team.
Yeah.
Some players just on absolute fire. If you have a Baldock who's in the team, playing well, and you've picked him from the start of the season, from now, over someone, another 4 million defender that isn't in the team, that can unlock a lot of potential for you in your team. And it sounds a bit silly. It's just a 4 million player that's 15th on the bench. But Abdul, right? It can be really important.
It can, yeah. I mean, we've played this game long enough to know that. So it's definitely worth researching these options and, going with the best 15-man squad you could possibly get.
That being said, it is a bit boring. So let's move on to midfield. Yeah. I want to see how stacked this midfield is.
Yeah, so I've gone for Saka. I think that's the obvious one. Yeah. Again, Arsenal fixtures, and I've got Martinelli there as well. So I've got two Arsenal midfielders, Saka and Martinelli. Just think with the run, Jack, I think you have to have a double attack. And obviously with Jesus injured, I think Martinelli is probably the next best option in terms of goal threat. Obviously, Odegaard's got the minutes, but then he's 0.5 more, and we probably can't fit him in here. But yeah, Saka, Martinelli, fixtures for the first 14 games, I'd say, for Arsenal. So it's pretty simple for them.
Bit of a no-brainer now with Jesus out as well to double up in midfield. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, who is next?
I also went for a double up on United midfield. So Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. Again, I just think these picks are quite obvious. I think these will be in 80-90% of the Twitter template teams. They're quite obvious picks, I think, for a reason. Again, great options. Bruno's nailed 90 minutes. Well, apparently 99 minutes now with the new kind of stoppage time rule. And then Rashford is there with a goal threat. And I think Højlund is not going to start the season because he's injured, so he's gonna be the main goal threat come at the start of the season anyway.
Yeah, makes sense. We've seen these four in a lot of teams. And then the final one to round us off. This is the one that I feel like is a bit more of a gut pick, perhaps. Who have you gone for?
So I've still got Mbeumo. I know he's marked at 75%. He's apparently got a little knock, but I did hear Thomas Frank saying he should be fine. But we'll get more information on that though. Before game week 1, with the press conferences. So if he's out, then I've got Mbeumo, I've got Mitoma and Eze there, as backups, which are just as good options. So, but out of the three, to start the season, if they're all fit, I do prefer Mbeumo.
Really? Yeah. To be honest, I mentioned this in previous videos. If you use Fantasy Football Hub's predicted points across the first 4 game weeks, the 6.5 million bracket has, the likes of Mitoma, March, and Mbeumo, Eze. Yeah. Even Gross is in there. Their predicted points are so similar. They literally range from 20 to 18 out of the popular picks. It does, I think, come down a little bit to just who you fancy. Yeah, and Mbeumo, I think, has a dead leg. I think he should be fine.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I'm going to find it hard not to go for Mitoma, I think. I want to have some Brighton in there. Now, there's a notable omission from your midfield. He wasn't in the previous draft that we did together either. And I feel like he's actually now getting a little bit more popular in FPL spaces and the bubble that is FPL Twitter and YouTube. What do you think about Mo Salah? Do you think that there is any way that you could go with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think the emergence of João Pedro in pre-season has kind of paved the way for a good Salah draft. I mean, the reason I didn't have him initially is because, look, you've got Salah at 12.5 million, the likes of Bruno Martinelli at 8.58 million, Rashford at 9. You can just get a much better overall squad. But now with if João Pedro's nailed, just for example, we know he's on penalties. I mean, I think there's a very good chance he's on penalties because he took the last one when Gross was on the pitch. So yeah, that has really kind of paved the way for Salah and our teams. Obviously, we still don't know if João Pedro is nailed, but I mean, in theory, if we were told he is a nailed starter, he's in the first team, he's on penalties, then I've got a Salah drafted ready just in case. But yeah, I still don't see me going with him, Jack, because even with all of kind of João Pedro's positives, I still think he's a minutes risk. He's still probably going to get rotated with Ferguson, or they'll probably play alongside each other, but they've got so many attackers that he'll get probably hooked off early and things like that. But I don't think you can complain much at his price point though.
Yeah, it's one that I've personally been deliberating. Just it feels strange to me that when we won't have Salah necessarily as a captain option for game week 2 when the upside is massive. But talk to me about your strikers. Obviously, one man is in there. I don't actually want your opinions on him because everyone knows he's in there as Haaland. So let's move on to your second striker, because that is the one that's contentious now with the emergence of João Pedro.
Yeah. So I've gone for Watkins. Yeah. And the reason is I just think he's just such an easy pick in terms of, we've got Jesus out and Kunku out, and the next best, I think we've got probably, I'd say, Watkins, Jackson, possibly like a Wilson and Isaac, but I just think, from the remaining options, he's nailed for 90 minutes. Well, we're not sure if he's on penalties anymore because he missed his last one again. and he's got quite a terrible penalty record actually.
He
He's
is so
taken
bad at
9.
penalties.
Yeah,
So
he's taken
bad.
9 penalties for Villa. He's missed 5 and scored 4. So I think there's every chance he does get taken off them, Jack. Because Tielemans is there as well. Not sure yet if he's like a sure starter, but I guess if he's on the pitch, then there's definitely a risk there. But even so, 90-minute man. Fixtures aren't great to start with. He's got obviously Newcastle away at home, but then they've got 2 good fixtures. But I just think he's that type. He's another one of those glue picks which I keep saying is you put him in your team and he'll just kind of tick along with points. And yeah, so he's there. He's there for me. I kind of trust him more than Jackson and Wilson to start the season.
I think the fixtures aren't as bad as people, as it may seem to people. Because apart from that Newcastle game, if you actually analyse each individual fixture, Everton at home, Burnley away, clearly very good fixtures.
Yeah.
Liverpool away with a new midfield, conceding lots of goals in pre-season. Palace at home, obviously a good fixture. Chelsea away, again, not entirely sure what's going on there with the midfield, and switching to a back four may make Chelsea a little bit more.
It's just those weaker. 3 away fixtures in the first 6, isn't it? It's Chelsea away, Liverpool away, Newcastle away, which are a bit off-putting. But it's not a problem now that we've got no other options. But before it was totally. I'd say it was a better decision to go with Nkunku with the fixtures. It was a better decision to go with Jesus with the fixtures over Watkins. But because they're not there now, it's like, he is like, the next best option. So it's like we've kind of been forced into it, really. So yeah, I just think it's just an easy pick for that second spot now.
Sure thing. Okay, so round us off with the final 4.5 forward.
Yeah, so this is quite an exciting one actually. I've gone for Davina Obama for West Ham, and he's been getting like a lot of minutes pre-season. He's scored about 3 goals so far. He's doing very well. David Moyes has been talking about big time. In the last game, he started ahead of Skamaka's gone away. He's moved away, and then he started ahead of Ings and Antonio, which is really telling. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if he'll start the season as a starter. But he's definitely, I think, at the moment, the best 4.5 million forward and the one with the most potential. Moyes has been talking about pre-season, talking about how good he's been, taking his chances, etc., etc. So yeah, he's a great option, and I think he's the best 4.5 million forward in the game.
His predicted points continue to rise on Fantasy Football.
Yeah, I'm not surprised,
which is telling, because often the expected minutes of a player like Mubama, someone that we're not entirely sure is going to start, quite cautious with an algorithm in terms of saying, okay, yeah, he looks really good in preseason, because it is, of course, only preseason. He doesn't really have any first team experience for West Ham in the past. But the fact of the matter is, these are getting to decent numbers now for a 4.5 million player. Yeah. And if he does establish himself in the team, it could be crazy value. One thing I will ask you is, obviously, if everyone jumps on a 4.5 million forward and then say 3-4-3 emerges and becomes the go-to, and people want to swap off Mubama, does a price drop there worry you at all? Just because if lots of people are on him, then he may well drop in price when a lot of people sell him?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a concern, but yeah, I just think it's too hard to kind of predict that kind of stuff. I mean, I guess it's definitely a concern, but I think when you look at that price point, it's like a double-edged sword, because then you go for the kind of the low-end option, which nobody will have, so you'll keep the price. But then you're missing out on a potential 4.5 million starting player for like a mid-table team. So yeah, there is that concern there, but it's got its pros and benefits.
Okay, mate, that is the team. Now, first of all, you got to tell me who would be starting, because Bulldog and Botman have higher predicted points than Chilwell in game week 1, according to the Hub. Now, I believe you'd obviously play Chilwell in that game, but I mean, it might be a little bit tempting. Villa at home compared to Liverpool. What do you think there?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chilwell. Yeah. I just think his attacking threat is too good, and that's quite an unpredictable game, I think, as well. It could be 0-0, it could be 3-3. It's one of those. So yeah, I'll go with Chilwell. I'll go with the upside.
And then captain.
It's got to be Haaland at Burnley.
Of course.
I mean, I don't think Saka's too far behind though, but it's going to be Haaland. Okay,
then. So that is the team, and the team rating is 97%. Not bad. Not bad at all. What do you think there? 97%.
Yeah, happy with that, because I've got Mbeumo there as well. I think he's flagged. So yeah, I guess if he's fit, he'll probably be maybe 98.
66 predicted points for game week 1. If I offered you that right now, would you take it?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, because it really depends, like on what the the game week averages. But I mean, yeah, I guess I guess 66 points in most weeks is good. So yeah, I would take it.
Only a 95% rating for game week 1. But as we're seeing with a lot of teams, as you keep going further and further, I think this may be to do with Chilwell's fixtures as well. The game week rating increases. Game week 2, 97%, and then game week 3, 100% rating. That's when Chelsea play Luton, but the fixtures across that just look brilliant in general. Greens across the board pretty much. So yeah, I guess this team is not perfect for game week 1, but as you get further and further into the season.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at it over like the first 8 game weeks. You've got to look at your team for the first 8 and see how the fixtures fall and how it looks overall.
There we go. That is the team. Guys, if you would like to do the same and get your team rated once again for free, the link to do so is down below. And then if you would like to take advantage of some of the other amazing features that Fantasy Football Hub has to offer, like AI recommended transfers, which we're going to get into right now with Abdul's team. And you can sign up 50% off in preseason, just a few days to go now. You do not want to miss that deal. And if you do not win your mini league this season, you will get all your money refunded. That is how confident Fantasy Football Hub is in its product and its website that you will do well this season. Okay, Abdul, let's get into your AI recommended transfers. Okay, Abdul, so here are your AI recommended transfers, personalized to your team. You get 3 before the season starts, and then once the season is going, you continue to get them week in, week out. Sometimes it will say to roll the transfer, sometimes it will say 1 or 2, or it may even recommend taking a hit if your team needs it. But for now, these are the AI recommended transfers. Onana, Chilwell, and Martinelli are out, and in comes Steele, Stones, and Odegaard. First of all, I want to get your thoughts on Steele, the Brighton goalkeeper. 4.5 million, but it would mean a double up on the Brighton defence. How do you feel about that? And then losing Onana?
Yeah, so I do think in isolation, Steele is the best 4.5 million keeper. But I mean, if he was nailed, he'd probably be in my team. But I do think with the new keeper that Brighton have signed, they paid 20 million for him. And I've spoken to a few Brighton fans, and I've read up on it, and I do think eventually he might possibly become the number 1. But Steele probably will start the season as the number 1, but there is that doubt there. So I don't want to be spending kind of transfers on my goalkeeper spot when we've got other good options there. So that's the only reason I'm not going with Steele. But yeah, I can see why the AI tool would pick him, because the fixtures are there, and they've actually got quite decent defence, Brighton. Yeah,
it would be maybe a little bit aggressive to double up on Brighton defence, but given that everyone seemingly is going to be honest Stupinian to even get benefit of the clean sheet, you may have to do that. Obviously, the fixtures get a little bit worse after game week 3. But nonetheless, that move unlocks Martinelli to Odegaard, a player that you talked about earlier in the video. Is predicted higher points, I think, because his minutes are just more nailed. But would you ever go there?
Yeah, I think, Odegaard's a great option. But I just think with Jesus being out now, and that bumps up Martinelli's minutes a bit. And Martinelli does have, the higher goal threat than Odegaard when you're looking at his XG numbers. So yeah, I mean, he is probably, just as good an option, considering his price. But I do think at the start of the season now, with Jesus out, I still prefer Martinelli. But yeah, it's a great transfer suggestion, especially now bringing in Stones and releasing that 0.5 from Onana.
Yeah, and then the final one, as you just said, Chilwell out for Stones.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, because I have had Stones in my team, this season in one of my drafts. But, with Stones, okay, you've got the clean sheets here. City have got the best defence in the league, best XGC, but he's not going to be as nailed as Chilwell. He's not got the attacking threat Chilwell has. I know he's been playing in that new inverted role on the right, and he's been getting forward a lot more. But, at the same price, I think you've got to go for Chilwell.
So there we go. Those are the AI recommended transfers, and that is going to do it for this video. Abdul, thank you very much. Team looking super strong now. Guys, obviously this is recorded a few days out from the deadline. So even though Abdul is saying that this team is pretty much, or hasn't changed at least, so it's close to being locked in, of course, there could be any news later on, very, very close to the deadline, right up to it. If you would like to see Abdul's confirmed final team locked in, and you need to go over to Fantasy Football Hub. Link down below. Team reveal article will be posted close to the deadline, right, Abdul?
Yeah. Yes, correct, yeah.
So that is the only way to know Abdul's fully locked-in team. Once again, going for his 5th top 1K finish this season. Pretty crazy thing to say, but fair play. An illustrious history from yourself. And again, if you'd like to take advantage of anything you've seen in the video for your own personal team, Link to do so is down below. Take advantage before the season starts. Trust me, that 50% deal is going to go away, and it's going to be very sad if you don't get your hands on it before the season starts. Abdul, thank you very much. Best of luck for game week 1.
Thanks,
Abdul will be a
Jack.
regular once
Good.
again this season, so we'll be seeing his team week in, week out, and I'm excited to see you next week and see how you got started, mate.
Yeah, same, Jack. It's good. It'll be good being on with you weekly again.
Nice one, mate. Well, we will see you guys all very soon for another episode.
Thank you.